So guys, NIO stock crashes more than 9%, almost 10%, following the implementation of the EU provisional tariffs and also the CFO resigning, being replaced by a new CFO. And also, well, I'm going to tell you, there's actually a way to avoid these tariffs. There's a secret loophole that I've been made aware of thanks to one of you guys, the subscribers, one of you guys. But first, I want to show you this clip of the delivery center here in China, just to remind you guys that NIO is still delivering a lot of vehicles. And just look at that. This is one of the delivery centers in Hangzhou. All right. It's considered like a second tier city. All right. One of the second tier cities. And they just got rows and rows of these trucks carrying a ton of NIO vehicles. These are all slated for delivery. They got very good orders going on. All right. They got very good orders going on. And going forward, they're going to continue to see great orders because they're giving away super big incentives, all right, up to 50,000 in free options for the ES7, all right. The other cars, they get a little bit less. The ES7 is NIO's least selling vehicle, all right. They don't sell a lot of ES7s per month, so it makes sense for them to give these big incentives, $50,000 worth of free options. If it's inventory card, that's just a straight up 50,000 RMB discount. Wow. So going forward, these inventory cards, they're going to get swooped up like crazy. There's going to be people hunting for a good deal. They're going to swoop up the ES7. All right. So deliveries are going strong. Orders are going strong. Incentives are banging. They're not cutting back on incentives. They're not killing the momentum. The momentum is still very, very good. Okay. Now, what is this loophole? So apparently, thanks to Arwin, which is a longtime subscriber of the channel, he's also a NIO investor, a NIO fan. He lives in Germany. He's been to a lot of NIO events as well. And he told me that apparently in Germany, there's this rule that you can get a high-end hybrid or electric vehicle at 0.25% of the purchase price, basically renting the car, all right, as a company car. And he said that this is actually one of the loopholes, all right. This is a very favorable policy that people are using to get EVs. So when it comes to these expensive tariffs, all right, and we're saying like last month NIO sold like 44 cars in Germany, not a lot of cars. But remember, there's still subscription, there's rental, there's lots of ways to get the car, all right. Also, for example, there's NIO Destination. I'm a NIO owner here in China. I want to get a NIO for a month or a few days in Europe. I can just do NIO Destination and I can get a car that way, and I have to pay money, all right. So there's lots of ways to get the car. Buying the car is one of them. NIO sold 44, but there's definitely a lot of people on subscription and also leasing, rental, etc. So the results are actually way better than just 44 cars. All right, it looks bad on paper, but understand that going forward, once people really understand this policy, that there's that loophole that you can just get a car at 0.25% of the cost of the vehicle per month, and it's subsidized by the government apparently. And so that makes it very favorable. That makes it very economical to buy a high-end electric vehicle as a company car. All right. So the asterisk, the key point is that it has to be like a company car. Yeah. So you gotta basically buy it under the company name, and then you use it. So I'm not too exactly sure how that works out, but we know for a fact that this does exist, and they're actually making it even better. So the current maximum value of the electric vehicle hybrid allowed is like 60,000 euros, but they're apparently going to lift that up to 80,000 euros to accommodate for even more electric vehicles. So that would make cars like NIO extremely affordable. extremely, extremely affordable via that loophole. All right. Now, going forward, I do really expect NIO to raise prices on their vehicles in Europe. It's basically a forced move. They got no other option unless they want to sell cars at a big loss. I mean, they got to at least break even, right? So they're going to have to raise prices over there in Europe. But on the other hand, all right, today I actually just went and checked out the Envo L60 today, all right? And I'll be releasing that video very soon. There's some translation work for subtitles that I need to do. But I talked to the NIO manager, former NIO manager, now he's an Envo manager, and he said that the hope for NIO in Europe lays on Envo's shoulder and also Firefly's shoulder. All right. He said he's not too sure how exactly they're going to sell it in Europe, but they're going to be selling it in Europe. All right. And it's going to be very competitive against the Model Y, and it has to be. All right. And the problem with, I talked to him about some of the issues with NIO in Europe being too expensive, and he understands, and he says, this car, Envo L60 and the Firefly car, they might just have to sell it in existing NIO houses, all right? Make a little dedicated space to reduce CapEx and just sell it there, all right, and make it very, very competitive. And, the EU has these swap stations, all right, Gen 3, most of them are Gen 2, but Gen 3 swap stations, they could be adjusted to accept Envo batteries, okay? So going forward, Envo and Firefly will really turn things around for Europe. But for now, it seems like it's not such a good picture for NIO in Europe, all right? Of course, NIO still primarily sells in China. Europe is more for advertising, okay? So, of course, we're seeing a very big reaction in the stock price towards this news, towards the CFO leaving, and then also the EU tariffs. And guys, I mean, this is a trend. It's kind of reminding us of the reality of things. Like, China's products are way too good, right? They cannot compete, right? They cannot compete. They have to do these tariffs, otherwise, they're going to be dominated by these Chinese companies. On the flip side, you're going to see Canada come out with these tariffs very soon as well. Maybe a lot of other countries follow suit to protect their own domestic automobile market. And at the end of the day, the biggest market is still China. They still need to focus on China. Sell Envo well here in China first. Sell Firefly well here in China first. They were going to launch Firefly in Europe. And even with the tariffs, NIO CEO said that Envo Firefly is still competitive in Europe for sure. But they're going to sell it here in China first, make sure it sells well, get the ball rolling, and then sell it in Europe. All right? So, yes, the EU tariffs is bad news. CFO leaving is bad news. But you got to think optimistically. All right? Fresh start with a new CFO. And also, NIO doesn't sell a lot of cars in Europe. All right? So, who cares? Who cares? There's that loophole. People can take advantage of it. All right? As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.